Uh, Good morning and welcome, everybody. My name is Stephanie Delgado, and I'm the Customer Education Coordinator with Hay Software. I'm really excited to get to speak with you today regarding the TIPWeb-IT Advanced Training for Rooms, Adding and Editing, and then also room-to-room transfers. If you notice in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, perfect, yes, I see someone has found the chat window here. But in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, there's what's called the chat window, and that is where you are able to communicate with myself and actually the rest of the attendees today. And I see I do have a comment. Someone was asking about materials, where they're located. Perfect. Yep, the materials, and we'll discuss them further here shortly, are under Files to Download, so you can certainly grab those there. You are able to grab those actually even after the session is over and when the recording is sent out too. So just make note of that. But before getting started, I'd love to know which campuses I have on the session today. If you don't mind, could you maybe put those in the chat window for me? Great, I see some typing happening. Okay, Volta Elementary, McPherson, Senn, Portage, fantastic. Wonderful, Langford Community Academy, some middle schools. This is fantastic. I'd love to see quite an array of individuals on today. Well, thank you for attending, everyone. Now, if you look at the center of your screen, you'll see our agenda for today. Now, the agenda, the actual topic should look fairly familiar since this is an advanced training session. The hope is that you have already taken the basics training because that will give you that initial foundation that you will need to then progress within this session today. If you haven't potentially taken training yet, that's still okay. You're going to learn a lot regarding rooms and how to add and edit those rooms today. So you'll see we'll begin with introduction and an overview, and we'll even go over some common icons that we're going to see. If you notice over to the right of that first bullet, I have a couple of page numbers there. And those page numbers that you will see are related to actually the TIPWeb-IT Site Training Manual. And as mentioned earlier, you are able to download the materials from the Files to Download pod, which is at that kind of bottom center of your screen. And the first item that I have is a TIPWeb-IT Site Training Manual. And so that's where those page numbers are coming from. If you don't have it printed out at the moment, no worries whatsoever, but it's just for a good reference point. And let's talk a little bit more about these files to download, actually. I also have two documents that start with the term next steps. So I have a next steps after training prior to inventory, and then I have a next steps after inventory and training. So you'll want to make note of if your campus has been inventoried or not will depend on which document you're going to want to actually select. And actually that's a really great point I'd like to check on is have all of your campuses been inventoried? Have some of you not been? Do you mind just saying yes or no for me in that chat window? Great, yes, yes, no. That's okay. Okay, so several of you have already been inventoried. That's great. Okay, it's a mixed group. That's fantastic because guess what? This session today will be beneficial for you if you have been inventoried and if you haven't even been inventoried. And just to note, what is inventoried, right? So that's where our third-party partner will come out called ProBar, and they will scan all your assets. And the purpose is to add those assets into your campus's TIPWeb-IT application, right? So because of that, there's kind of two different paths that you will have right now. For those that have been inventoried and have gone through training, you're going to want to select the second next steps. Now for those that have gone to training and even this additional training today, but then have not been inventoried, you're going to want to look for the one that's titled with the prior right there. And this is a very helpful document that will help guide you through the TIPWeb-IT application and kind of those initial first steps that you need to take. Then my final document is what's called an FAQ, or frequently asked questions. And these are questions that we've just been receiving overall and that we feel will be beneficial for you as you're working within your application. So hopefully you'll download those at some point, and they're going to be a great reference point. So let's go ahead and go back to our agenda. So after the introduction, we will go over room names, and we'll kind of actually review some next steps information. And then for those that have been inventoried, the conversion room and what that is and the next steps for that conversion room. We'll then move into adding and editing a room. We'll also conduct some room-to-room transfers, and there's various reasons why you may need to do room-to-room transfer. One may be for those that have a conversion room and they need to move those assets out, and it could be for those that maybe an item was scanned into a room, but then the realization came that, oops, actually that asset needs to be in another room, and so you can do a room-to-room transfer. And then we're even going to talk about merging rooms, and there's also various scenarios on why you would need to merge rooms, but the overall concept is you have two rooms when you really only need one, and so you're going to take all of the associations and tags and everything from, let's say, room A, and you're going to then transfer all of that information, the tags, the associations, and such, over to your room B, so to speak. And so we're going to definitely walk through that today. And then we'll end with some reports. There's definitely going to be some great reports that you can pull under the rooms page that will give you insight into the rooms that you have on your site, and then also the inventory that's associated to each of those rooms. So do I have any questions before we dive in? Okay, no worries. Just remember, you are able to ask me questions at any point. Just place them in that chat window. I will do my best to keep an eye on that and get your questions answered right away. We do also have that Q&A at the end as well, if you remember something there at the end. Okay? Wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'd like to walk through, actually, just a quick overview of the rooms page. So let me share my screen with you. And let me pop open. Here we go. So this is actually a page within the training manual. And just a quick overview, what are rooms within the TIPWeb-IT application? Well, it's useful for a site user to perform multiple tasks that relate to the creation or adding of rooms, and then also the inventory that are associated or reside within each of those rooms. You'll see my second kind of item here is add record, and it's a little green circle with a white plus sign. We will definitely see this quite a bit today, and actually this is icon is used throughout the application anytime you're going to be adding something. So here the purpose will be to add a room and or create a room to our site. We also have the capability to see inactive rooms. So let's say that you realize you did not need a room. Well, you're able to inactivate it, but they never go away. Actually, they still are within the application, but you're able to inactivate them so that they don't cloud up your like reporting and such. We also have the capability to search within the rooms grid, and you can search by such as room number, description, room type, and there's even an other field where you're able to do searching as well. Another very common icon that you will see within the TIPWeb-IT application is going to be the edit icon, which is a little green pencil as you see here on your screen. Anytime you see that, and in this scenario it's going to be located on each room's row, you have the capability to edit information within that item. So for us, it'll be editing room information. We have some additional actions that we can take for each room as well. One of the first ones is initialization. So let's say that you have not been inventoried yet, and you go and you add all of your rooms. Well, now you need to get the inventory actually into the rooms, right? This is going to be extremely helpful for you. Another scenario could be you've already been inventoried, but maybe a few things were actually locked up in a closet, and so that inventory company was unable to access those specific assets. Well, you can actually come and conduct an initialization for a room, and it's going to add those new tags into the application. Now, a key note here is those need to be pre-existing items, so items that have already been on your campus. You definitely do not want to use this process to add brand new items. That will actually happen through the purchase order process, which we are not discussing today. But any new items, purchase order process, but any existing items that maybe just need to get added into the application, you're going to want to use this process called initialize. So we'll definitely walk through that today. You also have the capability to review inventory history, and that's going to be all history of inventory within a room. Even if those items no longer are associated to that room, you will see that kind of complete inventory history. There's also for each room a room inventory report, and it's just a quick way to review the inventory for that specific room. And then you'll see room-to-room transfer. There's actually a couple of ways that we are able to conduct a room-to-room transfer. And as I mentioned earlier, even the opportunity to do transferring in bulk as well. So we'll definitely walk through all of those options today. Let me go ahead and minimize. A little more information I'd like to go over. I just want to make sure you have the foundation for today, everyone. And just remember, you definitely can ask questions. Okay, so I'm going to go to my next slide here. And if you are unable to see a slide titled Prior to Inventory, please just let me know in the chat window. So this is going to be covering for those that have not been inventoried yet. These following slides actually will also be in the files to download. This was just a quick little way for me to pull information up for you. So you're definitely going to want to add your rooms if you have not been inventoried yet. Here's one of your kind of first steps will be to identify the room names at your site to add into the application. And some suggestions we have for you would be to walk through your building to create a room list. So you want to make sure that you have a complete list of all of your rooms. And we do think it's very beneficial if you walk the rooms to ensure that you are listing the names exactly as they're seen. The reason for that is when ProBar does come out to your site, whatever they see on those doors or door jambs next to the door, that is what they are going to place within the application. And just to ensure that we have a clean set of information and data, it's just very helpful. And a suggestion would be, as you're prepping for when ProBar comes out, is you could use just even a piece of tape and write the room name as you would like it within the application. And then that way, when ProBar comes out, everybody is on the same page as to what the names are for each of your rooms. Now, there's an advanced step. So let's say you've walked through your campus and you have labeled them temporarily, maybe with some tape. You can actually print what's called a barcode label out of the application. So it'd be after you've placed all of the rooms into your application, and we'll walk through how to run this report later. But you can actually print out some labels that have the name of the room, and then actually they're scannable as well. And so as you or anyone else is coming into a room to then scan the tags that are in those rooms, you just quickly scan that tag and it pulls it up right away within the application. So that's a nice little feature, right? So the main key here for those that have not been inventoried is, I say preparation, is just ensure that you have every door properly labeled as how you would like to see those names within the application, and then it's a clean, kind of clean transition into the application even when ProBar comes out. Okay? Now, real quickly, I also want to go over for those that have already been inventoried. All right, you've been inventoried. What's next, right? The main thing for you is going to be to review your information. So you're going to want to review the location ID of your rooms, location description, location type, and room descriptions. Now, a way that you are able to do this fairly quickly is through what's called the tag export. It's quite a large report, I will tell you, because it is all information for your specific campus. So it may take a moment or two for it to populate, but we'll walk through how to pull that report later and kind of those fields that are within there. Now, since ProBar has already come out to those that have been inventoried, there's potential that maybe there's some information you want to change or edit or add to your rooms. You have that capability through editing, and so we'll walk through those items that you can edit for each room. So a couple of notes here. If for any reason a room could not be located, or they couldn't be accessed as mentioned earlier, you'll just want to make note of that. So if there's any rooms that later on you realize, oops, you know what, my storage room was locked, but I do want it in the application, you may have to add those rooms even if you've already been inventoried. So that's just a key note. One last item I do want to cover before we dive into the application today is that conversion room. And again, this is for those that have been inventoried. So even those that haven't been inventoried yet, you will eventually have this conversion room. And so you'll just want to know these key items. So what is a conversion room, right? Have we all heard of the conversion room? Well, the conversion room is where assets recorded in Oracle, FAA, that were not found during the 2017-18 district-wide inventory. But they look like valid assets or tags. And so they didn't want to just throw those out because there's potential that you actually do have those assets still. And then all assets that are recorded in TechXL with a valid tag that were not recorded in Oracle FAA. So you have kind of two pieces coming in through your previous software into TIPWeb-IT. Now note here, you'll see working on being added for the TechXL. So some things are still working on with TechXL, so most likely you do not have that data within your campus application yet, but you will eventually. And then just some key notes here. Best practice will be for you to verify each tag that you have within your conversion room and identify if they are valid or not. Now, if they are valid, you will want to conduct a room-to-room transfer to the room that the asset actually resides in. There is a capability to issue to staff or students as well, but for today's sake, we're working on just rooms, so we will not be covering that today. You definitely have opportunity to look at additional videos in the Learning Hub, and there'll be additional training sessions for other topics. For assets that are no longer at your school, you will want to contact your district inventory specialist, Chester, to find out what those next steps are to clean up your data. And then for invalid assets, so those assets that are not supposed to be on your campus, but for some reason they're in your conversion room, you can leave those there because CPS will be removing the conversion room and all asset records within them December of 2018. So you have a little bit of time to get all of your actual assets out, but I highly recommend kind of getting to those right away and cleaning up so that whatever's left in the conversion room is just not part of your site. All right, any questions? Fantastic. Well, I'd like to move into the application now, so if you give me a moment, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me bring up the application. Just take a second here. Has everybody already been going into their application? Have you seen what you have in there yet? Great. Okay, that's all right. Maybe after today, right? Fantastic. Good. Wonderful. So some have been in and some haven't. So this may look familiar to some of you. This is our dashboard, right? This is what it'll look like when you come into your application for the most part. Definitely you'll have some different data than I have here. This is a training site. I'm currently logged in as a site administrator. So overall, I have quite a bit of capabilities within the application. Today, we will be going into the Rooms page, which is in the upper navigation bar. If you see here, Rooms. So I'll go ahead and select. Now, I definitely already have quite a few rooms populated within my campus here. And to get started, let's take a look at what's called the blue grid header. And you will see a blue grid header in the majority of the pages within the application here. So for the rooms, I have the room number, and it's going to list each of those rooms below. I have description, which will list the descriptions. I have the room type, which could be maybe like a storage room, an office, a classroom, and so forth. And then I have that other field, which is an open field that I can place whatever information I feel is relevant or pertinent to my kind of room structure. So as you'll see here, we have the location within the campus, which is East Wing, West Wing. I have a question here. Is the session recorded and available later? Yes, the session will be recorded and will be made available for you within 24 hours. And just watch for an email that will come out that says video is ready. Okay? All right. So then under each of the column headers, you're very welcome, you have a search field here, or even really more so a filtering option. And so I can type in information, and there's sometimes the capability sometimes where I can even just do a quick filtering. So maybe I say office, and it'll pull up all of my office here. I can always do the refresh button, just those two little arrows, and it brings back my entire listing. Or what if I knew part of the name of my room, but I couldn't remember the entire thing? Maybe I just knew it had 100 in it. Type in and then click enter. And now I have a quick list of all of my room numbers that have 100 in them, as you can see here. Above the blue grid header, you have the capability to add or create your record. Remember that little icon there? I also am able to quickly view any inactive rooms that I have on my site, but they will not show up on my typical kind of setting. You'll have to actually select this to see those, and then you'll only see the inactive. Over to the far right, I do have a list of reports, which we'll discuss a little bit later. And then for each room, you'll see they have their own kind of row. And over to the far left of the row, I have this little icon. And when I hover over, it says expand. A couple of the terms you may hear is a caret, and then, of course, like the kind of arrow. So if I select that, it will expand for more information for my specific room 1000 conversion room. And it opens up to my inventory tab here. And so what you'll see is a listing of all the inventory that I currently have in my conversion room. And it's going to be based on product line. So you'll see product number, product name, total inventory, how many are in use, and how many are available within that room. For each product line, I can even dive in a little bit deeper for more information by, again, clicking on the caret or expanding. And it's going to give me a listing of all of those 9 tags that are within my room. And it's going to give me details. Here you'll see I have my tag number, the serial, the asset type, so is it standalone, is it a parent, is it a component, the current status of each of those tags, the last scan date of each of those tags, and then I even have the action to do a room-to-room transfer right here. I'm actually going to hold off on doing the room-to-room transfer for the moment, but this is where we will go later. What I love about the application is many times if something is underlined, it's kind of a link, and it's going to take you to another window. So just take note in that. For this situation, it would take me to that tag's information window. So it'd be all the detailed information regarding that tag. The Details tab will be a quick overview of the information for my room. So again, quite similar to what you'll see in the blue grid header here actually. Room number, description, the type, and that other field. Now I do even in fact have a notes field here as well, so if there's any detailed information you want to put regarding that specific room. There's also a staff tab, and this is to assign a staff member to the room. And you'll see here I currently have Alan Moore already associated to this room. And again, if I click here, I'm able to go to Alan's record. The information that will reside for each staff member will be their ID, their name, the grade, and then their type. Maybe they're a librarian, and so they definitely will have that staff type here. You also have the capability to do some filtering if there's more than one teacher associated to a room, which is possible. And then on Alan's row, you'll see I have a couple of actions. I have remove staff, and all that does is remove them from the room. It doesn't remove them from the application, actually. But let's say that Alan no longer needs to be in this room, and I don't need to reassign him to another room for any reason, and so I just remove him from this room. Now, I do have the capability to also reassign a staff member. So let's say that Alan actually was transferring rooms. Maybe this wasn't our conversion room. It was just a computer lab, and he was going to a science lab. Well, it's very easy to just click on the reassign staff icon, assign to room. It's a required field because it's in red. So I'll select the binoculars to search for my room. And let's say I'm going to go ahead and take him, and he just for today's purposes, I'll put him in the room 1001. Maybe he's now in charge of that storage room, right? And I'll select go. Now you'll see that I have no staff members assigned to my room 1000. But if I were to go to my room 1001 and go to staff, here's Alan Moore. So it's that simple. You can have multiple staff members as we talked about. And here I'll say Nile also is supposed to be a part of this storage room. So now you'll see I have 2 staff members. Something that's great is I can reassign all staff members. So let's say actually, and I know this is a little bit of back and forth, but just to show you the process here, I need to reassign both of these staff members. And you know what, actually I do need to put them back in that conversion room. Maybe they're going back to work in that room. Room 1000, I'll select go, and this tells me staff details. Selected 2 staff members. By performing this action, all selected staff will have their homeroom updated to the room entered below, which is the 1000, and I'll say go. Again, they are now removed from my current room. If I go back to my room 1000, and it opens up to my staff, here they both are. Pretty quick and easy, right? There's also the Audits tab, and I'll tell you, I'm just briefly going to go over this tab because actually later on in the following year, there will be some detailed or advanced training sessions for audits during that time of year when it's really necessary. But you can do a quick kind of check of each of your rooms by just creating an audit. And all you do is come and select Add Record, and it immediately creates an audit for my room. And this is helpful just to know what items are expected in my room, and then after I've conducted my audit, what tags are, as you can see here actually in the blue grid header, have been found. Maybe they were found not in the correct room. How many are missing, which I'll tell you, missing state is a state that all tags will initially start in whenever you create an audit. But this will give you an idea. If you have 9 still missing, that means you have not found 9 of your tags that should be within that room. And then any that have been misplaced as well. And so that's all I'm going to show you for the audits for today. You definitely can also always go and pull information from all of your kind of help locations, the Knowledge Center, the Learning Hub, and even the Hayes Help. Now you'll see that I have my record populated here, and I have the edit icons if I want to come in to edit my audit. And so give me the date that it was created, initiated by, the status, the full amount of inventory for that room, and then the information that we talked about, if it's been verified, which means, yep, my tag has been found. If it's been found, how many are still missing and how many have been misplaced. And then under Actions, there's several options here. You can quickly pull up an Audit Details window that will just give you the overview of your audit, the details of the audit above, and then each of the tags associated to that room. You also have the capability to create a room audit summary report here. It just takes a second to pull up. It's rendering. because my site is a training site, it can be a little bit slower than normal. So this is the report. It's pretty much what we just saw in the overview there, but you have the option to download and or print this document. This is within a PDF. Now, if I realize I accidentally created an audit, I can, if no actions have really been taken, I can just select delete. And are you sure you want to delete the audit? Yes, so I'll say OK. So that's audits just in a quick nutshell. Speaking of actions, there's an actions options as well for each room up here at the upper level, kind of on each record. That's where you're going to have that initialize room inventory, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, actually, but that's the adding of inventory to your existing room, and that's existing inventory. And then you also have the capability to view inventory history, so similar to the audits. It's going to give you a list of all inventory that's ever been residing within that room, and you'll see actually next to each tag, there may be what's called a custom field. So for this specific tag and or product really, it's image date. And so you can see that there. It's just going to give product information, the tag number, the current status. So as you can see, I have two tags that have been transferred from my room 1000. And then when did that occur? When was that last scan date? So it's just a quick reference guide. You also have the capability to run a room inventory report. And this one will pull up for us as a PDF. And it's going to give you a listing of the tags that, or the inventory for your room. And what I love is that it has that scan barcode here. And then it also has even images, because a lot of times there may be products that are named somewhat similar, but actually they're different. And so you're able to actually put images within the application, and then they're produced here, which I love that it has that. And just has detail about the room and each of those tags and products. Here's the tag numbers. All right. So now what if I realized that this conversion room here, it didn't have all the information that I wanted, right? I have that capability to add information under Other. Where would I go, or what icon would I select to go and make changes to an existing room? Does anybody want to put that in the chat window for me? Do you know where I'd go? I see some typing. Yep, exactly. The pencil. It's the green pencil over here to the left of the room number. You just want to make sure that, let me collapse that you are selecting the edit pencil from the right room that you do want to edit from. And so I do want to add some information to my conversion room here. So I'm going to go ahead and select the green edit pencil. And you'll see room number 1000, and everything's still resides here, or still populated here more so. But I can make changes. Maybe my room is actually, we'll just say -1 for 1000-1. And then I could change my description from conversion room if need be, and I can change my room type. Maybe my room was actually not a storage room, it was a receiving room. I can definitely make that change here. I'm going to leave it as is though. And then over in my Other, because that's really what I wanted to change, let's say I'm going to be a little more descriptive of where this room is located. I'm going to say West Wing. I also have the capability to add notes as needed. Now if you look below at the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see active, and it's grayed out. I'm unable to uncheck my room to make it inactive. And you'll see the reason why next to it. It says, this room contains inventory and cannot be deactivated until all assets are transferred or archived. So anytime there's inventory that is within a room, that room cannot be deactivated. So just a note about that as you're doing transferring back and forth and maybe cleaning up your rooms initially. So if everything looks good, I'll go ahead and click my green diskette to save. Make sure I save my information. And now you'll see my conversion room is 1000-1, and then I have added West Wing to my room. So it's just a quick way to come and clean up any information or add information after maybe your room's been inventoried, or even down the road, maybe initially you won't put in that other information, but after you've kind of added all your data, you realize, you know what, I think I can use that other field. The great thing about the other field is it's going to probably be very helpful with reports and such for maybe filtering. So it's kind of what you might want to think about with that field is what are those topics or areas that I may want to report on. All right, so now what if I wanted to create a room? Where would I go to create a room, a brand new room? So maybe ProBar hasn't come out and inventoried my site, or maybe it was a locked room and they were unable to get in there. Anybody know? I see someone typing. Perfect, add a record, yes. Here is where I'll go. It's just above the blue grid header. Add a record, and just a reminder, it's that little green circle with the white plus sign. So once I select it, it's going to open up to create my new room. So my room number, remember red fields are required. I recommend filling out as much information as you can as you're creating, but again, you can come back and edit, right? So it's just really dependent on your current need. So my room number, for today's purposes, I'm going to create a CPS room. Let's say CPS-100. And then let's say that this is a laboratory. So maybe it's a computer lab. Let's go and put that computer. I definitely want to be as descriptive as possible. Room type, I'm going to go ahead and select, and since it's a computer lab, I'm going to want to select lab. There's definitely quite a few options that I have there. This is a new room, so I definitely want it to stay active. So I'm not going to uncheck that. For my other, maybe this room is in the north wing. And then I can enter notes as needed here. If everything looks good, I'm going to go ahead and save and or add. Okay, so how do I know if my room's here, right? Well, it actually saved my original filter set for 100, so it's located here. But I could also have typed in just CPS. Click enter, and the one I created just now was CPS 100. Now if I expand, I'll get that inventory tab for my new room, the computer lab. But if you notice, I do not have any inventory, right? Well, this is definitely going to be helpful, again, for those that haven't been inventoried, and again, for those that maybe a room didn't get within the application. Where I'll go is under Actions and Initialize Room Inventory. The Initialize Room Inventory window opens and it's going to give me a little bit of information, location details, so my current site, so that's going to be your campus name, and the room that I'm going to be adding those tags into or initializing to, and then my product number. And now there's a couple ways you can definitely just type in a product number if you have it handy, and then you'll just add or select the next icon. But if you're unsure of the room number, the product number, you'll select the binoculars to search. So for me, I'm going to, I'm going to look for my Hayes laptops. I have several of those products here. It's a Hayes Infinity MGH 1990 laptop. So I'm going to select that. And then it fills in that product name for me. You'll see I have several other red fields, so they are required that I'll need to fill out. I'll need to select my funding source. In this scenario, it's going to be the district that my funding is from. And then the status of the tag as I bring it into my room. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's available. Now, image date is actually a custom field. Each product type, which for this scenario is laptop, will have up to 4, or can have up to 4 custom fields. And so for this one, it's image date. So when was this laptop last image? Well, let's say it's a brand new one. And so I'm going to put today's date. Over to the far right, you'll see a little checkbox. And this box is to remember that image date. So if I have multiple tags that I'm going to be initializing and they have the same information, same image date, I just select my remember box and it's going to save it for me. So it's just, efficiency, right? So then I'm going to need to add my tag number. And I have with me a handy scanner here. It's a symbol. So I'm going to go ahead and select a new tag. And it's going to populate and automatically drop down to my serial field. Now, typically, you're going to want to go and find the serial field on the specific device. For today's purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and use my same tag. But for you, you definitely will want to track down the actual serial number. So that's one way. I can scan a tag, and it'll quickly add my information for me, or that tag number. I'm also able to hand enter in a tag as well. I will tell you we highly recommend that you scan, though, because for accuracy. So I could also come in here and just type in, but then I'm going to have to go ahead and select the save icon. And then it will go down to the serial field for me. And here I'll hand type again, just for today, my tag number. And then I'll need to click Save. There you go. So now you'll see under Scan History for today, I have my two tags. They're custom fields, which is the image date, and then general information about the product, the new tag number, serial, the current status, and then their funding source. And if I accidentally added a tag, I do have the capability to remove them here. So you'll just come in and add tags as needed. And once you're done, you'll click Done. All right, so let's say I just brought in my two tags into my CPS 100. And then I realized that these tags actually will not be used in my CPS 100, but they're actually going to go into my other CPS room, CPS-200. So I'll need to conduct a room-to-room transfer. Now, remember, there's a couple ways. The first way I'm going to show you is for each of those specific tags. So if I am in my inventory tab and I expand, and then I'll see under details I have my two tags. Well, I need to get these tags moved over. So I'll go over all the way to the right under Actions, and I'll select my room-to-room transfer. It's going to open up the room-to-room transfer window. First thing we need to do is say Transfer to Room. And I'm going to go and track down that room. And it was another CPS. So type in CPS, click Enter. And I'm moving them from my 100 to my 200. So I'm going to go ahead and select. And it has populated Transfer to Room for me. It gives me my room description. And it even locks down the room if I'm going to have multiple tags. Now, notice something here with my status. It's grayed out. That's because it automatically selects Use Previous Tag Status for me. And what that means is that in me transferring to my new room, my tag will come over in the current status which was available. Now, if I wanted to change it, I definitely could. Just uncheck the box, and I could say, oh, actually, you know what? It's going to be in use. And then it auto-populates my tag. And if everything looks good, I'll select the Save icon. And now you'll see that my tag is gone. I have a question here. The question is, for items in the conversion room, before inventoried, do all these items need to be transferred into rooms or conversion room? And you have assets in there because that's what was showing within FAA and eventually, hopefully, TechXL as well, right? So you definitely do want to start going through the conversion room and verifying those tags and or assets that are in the conversion room. And then you're going to want to do a room-to-room transfer to get those assets pulled into the correct rooms. after they do come out, do I only need to move things that are not computer assets is another question that I have. What kind of things are you referring to when you say that are not computer assets? For the most part, what will be coming into the application will be assets, computer assets, sorry. Projectors. Okay. Yeah, well, do the projectors come into your conversion room? No. Okay. So they are residing, hopefully, in the rooms that they are currently located in? Okay, you're seeing snow blowers and metal detectors. All right. So you've got a few more things in there, correct? Now, are those snow blowers and metal detectors in your conversion room? Yes. Okay. So definitely you'll want to move those out. Do you have a room where those actually reside? Maybe some sort of storage room? And do they belong on your site? That's one of the questions too, right? For those items that are in the conversion room, you definitely want to verify their validity. Are they actually assets that reside on your campus? Okay, great. So yes, you definitely will want to even move all of those items as well from your conversion room. The hope is your conversion room will end up being empty. So you'll move all of those valid assets to the actual rooms that they reside in. Okay, another question. So what if I have a tech storage room with items that are not currently in use? Will these items be listed in my conversion room? A couple questions for you here with this question. Have you been inventoried? So are these items within the application in that tech storage room? Okay, so you're going to be inventoried next week. So when you say they're currently not in use, are they still working items? I'll just say they're laptops. So are these laptops functioning, but they're maybe just on hold until maybe a replacement is needed? Okay, or yes, all in working order, just spares or used for replacement. Okay, you definitely will want to have those inventoried because they are valid assets that should be tagged so that when you do go to actually issue those to either a room or to a staff or student, you'll go into the application and you will find that specific tag and then you will either issue to a staff or student or you'll transfer to the room that it will be actually residing in. Correct. I had a question. If I can't find the tags, you just leave them. Correct. So you have your conversion room, and you cannot find some of the tags. They don't look familiar to you. You're sure that they should not belong on your site. You'll just leave those in the conversion room. And then those will be cleared out. It'll be a little bit of time. You'll just note that anything that's left within your conversion room will go away end of 2018. And sometimes things just kind of pop up, don't they? So there's potential that maybe a laptop just kind of reappears and it happens to be one that's in that conversion room. You'll definitely want to move it over as soon as you find it. Great. Okay. One more question here. Will assets automatically be moved to the correct room when ProBar comes to do inventory? So it sounds like you have not been inventoried. What's going to happen is you're going to go in and create your rooms, hopefully, to get started, and you're going to start placing tags within rooms. You're going to probably do quite a bit of initializing, right? Now, when ProBar does come out, they will scan whatever is within that room. So, and ProBar's information will kind of trump, I guess you could say, whatever's currently in the application. And the purpose of that is because that's current. So let's say you came in today and you added some assets to CPS room 100, but then ProBar came out, let's say, a week later, and several of those tags that you had initially put into CPS 100 were actually now in the room CPS 200. They will, if they scan those tags into CPS 200, they will now reside there. And the purpose of that is we know stuff walks, right? We know laptops walk sometimes. Maybe students borrow it, and or another teacher borrows a laptop, and then they just forget to put it back into the room that actually is supposed to reside in, right? So that's why, yes, ProBar's information will definitely kind of supersede whatever's currently in there, because that will be kind of the current inventory, so to speak. Because that's really what they're doing, is they're conducting your kind of annual inventory for you. Okay, looks like I might have another question. Great, okay. Okay, so what do you use to scan? Have you gone through training yet? Because once your campus has gone through training, you actually do receive a scanner from the district. It's pretty cool. So you just have to make sure. Okay. So it sounds like maybe now, from what I understand, that you may not get the scanner immediately if you have gone through instructor-led training, so in-person training. It sounds like they might be doing what they'll also do if you've attended a webcast, which is they will mail the scanners to you. Yeah, I definitely highly recommend going to some training. Now, we just went through a major kind of training session. There is potential for some additional to come up, but in the kind of interim, you can go to the Learning Hub, and if you search for the keyword TIPWeb-IT, because TIPWeb-IT is for assets, you have the capability to look at some kind of basics videos, and if you review all of the videos and then you submit that to either Chester or Willie Dean, which their contact information will be at the end of this session, and let them know I have completely reviewed all of the videos and I've taken the quizzes, then you are able to still get a scanner. So I highly recommend looking for any actual either webcast or in-person training sessions. But as a kind of secondary, you do have the capability to review those videos, and they're super quick, maybe 5-minute videos that will give you that really need-to-know information regarding the application. You're welcome. Any other questions before we continue on? Okay, so they will send the scanner via the mailroom for you. Question, what should we do if there is no room for a computer, such as a security computer located in the hallways? This is a great question. Okay, you may need to kind of create a designation for that area and create a room, so to speak, for that area of hallway. Maybe if it's next to another room, you could do, let's say again, CPS-100, you could do dash hallway or dash corridor or something. And so just, you may need to create another room for the purpose of that area. Do you know what I mean? Just make sure you're very descriptive on what it is so that you can ensure that you're getting even those computers that are in hallways added to your application. Great. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, good question. What about those assets with no tag number? So you will want to apply an asset tag to all of your assets. Now, if ProBar comes out, they will be putting asset tags on all of your assets. But if they have not come out yet, there's potential that you do not have tags on all of your assets, right? You can print from the application, and actually a great video that's out there for you is within the Learning Hub. And if you just search the keyword TIPWeb and then look for printing tags, you'll find it. And I'll take note of your name, and actually if everybody's interested, I can send a separate email with that specific link to the video if that helps. Sure, no problem. Okay, great. Great. So I'll just go ahead and send an email with how to print tags to everyone just to ensure that, sorry if you didn't say yes, but several have, so I'm going to go ahead and just send it to everybody. More information is better than not enough, right? Oops. And we have timed out. All right. Is everybody good? Can we okay to move on, or do you have any more questions? You're very welcome. And again, I apologize for that, everyone. I should have made note of that about the conversion room, but I'm glad that the question was asked, and we definitely want to make sure that you have the correct information, right? Fantastic. Okay, so we were under the CPS 100 inventory tab, and we had just transferred one of my tags over to my CPS 200. And how we did that is we came to that specific tag within my product line, right, that was in the room. And so over to the far right, I selected Actions, Room-to-Room Transfer. And then I need to select, so I'm going to select the search binoculars, and I need to find CPS. And I'm putting these into my Room 200. And I'm going to keep my previous tag status. It populates my tag number for me. So I just select the Save icon. And you'll see now my Room 100 has no inventory. Now let's go ahead and refresh. Oh, it's right down there. It's a little hard to see. I'm going to do CPS one more time. I had a little trouble seeing that other one below. And now my CPS 200, when I expand inventory, I now have my Hayes Infinity. And I have my two new tags, the T4479 and 4483 here. So that's where they were transferred to. So now that we're in the process of doing a room-to-room transfer, I want to show you another way that you're able to conduct room-to-room transfer. This will happen under the Rooms page still. And over under the Quick Links, Tools, you'll see Room-to-Room here. Now, the room-to-room transfer window will open. It looks pretty familiar, right? It's the same concept. I'm going to transfer to a new room. Let me go ahead and put it into my room. Let's see if I have a tag. I'll put it in the status of available. Let me scan actually one of my tags here that I've already had. There we go. And I'm going to put available. I think it already did it for me. That's what's so beautiful when you scan. You don't realize that it's already happened for you. Yeah. So by me just scanning that tag, it immediately put it into that room for me, which is fantastic. And you can actually see that here now that I'm looking. It came from CPS 100, and I put it into my room 1001. So it's just that simple. And then you have the lock options if you're going to be transferring more than one tag from a room. So I could then also do my other tag that I just scanned. Oops, there we go. Well, I'm making all kinds of mess here. Sorry, everyone. There we go. and that was my 4479, and it immediately put it into my room 1001. So let's go take a look at 1001 really quickly. I'll select Done. I'll refresh my page. Now if I go and expand, it's going to open to my inventory tab. Oh, maybe I did put it in my room 1000. Let's check real quick. 1001. Sorry about that. Here we go. There's my 2 tags. Here we are, 4479 and 4483. So it's just another quick way to transfer from one room to another. Now that we're talking about transferring, I actually am going to take you out of the rooms page just briefly to the tags page. There is actually a capability to do a bulk room-to-room transfer from the tags page. And so where you'll go is to tags in that upper navigation bar. And you'll probably want to do some filtering because when you're talking in bulk, it's going to be anything that resides within the blue grid header here. So let's go ahead and say I'm going to pull some tags from my CPS. No, actually, let's do my receiving. I know I have tags in there that we can use. And I'll just kind of X out. It's going to save it for me. And if I do go initially, I think I'm at quite a list here, right? So I definitely want to probably ensure that I really want to bulk transfer all of these specific assets. If I need to, I can also do additional filtering with product type, also location, which these all reside in a room. And then I could even do status, so maybe there was some that was available or in use. And then the specific asset type, which for these will be all standalone. And so I can definitely filter down a bit. But to ensure that I have the tags that I need, I also am able to conduct an advanced filter. You can do custom filters over here to the right, but I actually have a few tags already listed, and what's great is I've just copied them from a document that I already have, and I'm just going to paste them into the application here under my tag list box. You can actually do up to 500 tags. I love this. So currently I have 3 tags that have been entered. So then if I say go, and my bulk room transfer is now active. It's no longer grayed out. So it looks good. These are the 3 tags I definitely want to move from the receiving room. And I'll select bulk room transfer. And that bulk room to room transfer window opens. And it gives me some good detail. Transfer details, transfer type, room to room, tag details, selected 3 tags from one room. You can actually select tags from multiple rooms. So let's say it wasn't just my receiving room, but it was also my conversion room that I was pulling tags from that I was going to be placing into my CPS 100. It will auto-populate your transfer from room. You drop down, you'll see my receiving room. And my destination room, I'm going to go ahead and put it in one of my CPS rooms. I'll put it in 100. Now status, you'll see, is not red, so it's not required that I change this. And the reason for that is if I leave it alone and I don't make any selections here, all of these tags will come over to my new room, my destination room, with their current status. But if I decide, you know what, actually they are all going to go into my new room as in use, all tags will now come into my destination room, CPS 100, in the status of in use, okay? You can also add notes as needed. It's not required either. And then I'll select Go. Then a confirmation window will open that says there are 3 tags you're about to transfer to room, CPS 100. And just once confirmed, the action cannot be undone. And really what that means is there's no undone button. But as you've seen, I am able to transfer tags between rooms back and forth, even from the same room. So overall, it just would mean additional work for you if you accidentally did transfer these tags. But there is no undo button, so to speak. And if everything looks good, you'll go ahead and proceed by typing in the word transfer. And confirm. And it just specifies quick transfer is completed, and you'll select OK. And now you'll see that immediately those 3 tags are still here, but they've been moved to the CPS 100 and in the status of in use. So that is the bulk room-to-room transfer. I'm going to go ahead and go back to our rooms page. And actually, let's go and take a peek real quick at CPS. I think it was my 100. Here we go. Let's see. And there are my 3 tags. So they're there, right there. And I do have the capability to, of course, do the room-to-room transfer from here as well. Okay. So if there's no questions about the room-to-room transfers, I'm going to go ahead and move into our last topic, which is reports, where there are several reports that you can pull that will give you some really good information regarding the rooms within your site, as well as the inventory that is residing within those rooms as well. Do you remember we talked about barcode IDs, where you're able to actually print labels with the barcode IDs and the room numbers? I'm going to go ahead and pull this real quick so we can take a peek. Here you'll see it has visible my 2 CPS rooms because that's what I filtered. Do you remember mentioning anything that is filtered within a blue grid header many times will be what the action will take and or what the report will actually produce. So let me show you something real quickly here. If I refresh, there we go. And then if I come back and do my barcode ID report, here's a listing of all of my rooms on my site. So then that way I could print it out and then place these on the door jamb of this specific room. And then that way whenever I need to go and maybe initialize into that room, I just go and I barcode scan that room. It's going to pop up on my screen and then I can initialize to that room. So it's just another way for efficiency. Just a reminder, it's in PDF, so you have the capability to download and then also print from here. I'll go ahead and X out. Room inventory report is what we've seen on each line. This will just be for all rooms that are listed within my grid. Now, room inventory worksheet has a little bit more information, and you can include inventory that's been assigned to staff within the room. And I'll select Go. And then you'll see for my report, the room inventory report, it gives me my campus name and also the current date. And then it's going to have all of the rooms that were within my blue grid header. So you see my 1000-1 conversion room. And then I have tag information, product information, who it's assigned to, the serial, and then even the price. And if I scroll down, you'll see that each page is specific to each of the rooms that I have on my site. So you'll see 1001 here, and this is my PTO sold virtual, and then here's my 100 WK room, so work room, and so forth. And so just a listing of each of the tags and then their product information and just detailed information really, even price, listed below it. That's extremely helpful, I believe. Now under the Excel reports, you have the room audit detail reports, which is going to be similar to the report that we had seen earlier for audits. And then you have a room listing report. Now this report will produce in the Excel format, so you can open it up. And here we go, it's coming up. Sorry, everyone. Computer's going a little wonky on me today. And so what I do love about Excel is that I have capability to kind of manipulate the columns, right? So this is the room listing report, and I have my room number, description, the room type, and then that room other field. And this would be great as just a quick report to see all of the rooms that you have within your site. There's another room components listing. And so we briefly discussed components. Oh, no, and it's going to give me a, let's see, ta-da. Okay, so the room components will actually give you information regarding all of those tags that are either a parent and or then the parent component. So as you'll see here, my 5456 is my parent, and it's a cart. And from what I understand, many of you probably have some carts on your sites, right? And then you'll notice all of the components. So potentially these could be the laptops. So you have your cart, and then you have the laptops that actually kind of reside within that cart. And so it's just a great way for you to see those associations. And this report can be very helpful with that. All right, I'm going to go and close out. There was one other report we had talked about earlier. That was that tag export report. This actually will reside always under the Quick Links Tools Tag Export. Now, this report may take us a second. Actually, the application will even tell us. It may take even minutes to generate just because it is full of so much data. And today, it popped up right away for us. Here we go. So this report is definitely helpful. It will have information regarding the rooms too, but you'll see it has your site ID. I'm going to try to expand all these. Your site name, the product type, product information, so number, name, description, model, even SKU, manufacturer, area if it's used, those other fields, remember we talked about those? Here they put 17-inch monitor, price information, projected life. So this really has all information regarding each of your tags. So if you just continue on, you'll even have the tag information, those custom fields. So here's that location information. Which room, location type, description, location ID, which is that room number, and so forth. So this probably will be a very helpful report for you to pull to gain insight into what you have in your site, and then maybe even kind of touch point as you are moving things around, right? All right, do I have any questions? That concludes all of the topics for the Rooms advanced training session. Okay, I do have a question here. All my rooms have a number outside the door. Do I have to add number inside the room too? No, as long as they have your room number. Now description, that may be, or if you look at my screen, how it has description, you may want to place the description. If it only has a number, right, so it's just 1001, they're going to put whatever they think the description is unless you put a little bit more detail. So that room name, so to speak, on the door as well. But I would not put it in the room. I would put it like the room name, like a piece of tape even right on the door, or the door jamb even, where it's very evident of what that name is for that room. Yes, I can definitely show the bulk room-to-room transfer again. Okay, I have a comment from someone that they did not get the rooms described the way that, correctly how they would like them. So they highly recommend you do put that note, and I fully agree. ProBar is going to just put whatever they can. They're definitely going to do their best, but I highly recommend, even if it's, a full-size piece of paper on that door, and it says room name and what it is. Or doesn't even probably have to say room name, just as long as it says specifically what you would like it called. It's just going to help later on so you don't have to go and edit those room names and descriptions and such. You're very welcome. All right. You're very welcome. I'm going to go ahead and walk through bulk room to room real quickly if everyone wants to stay with me. Just give me 1 second here. So bulk happens under the tags grid. And then you'll definitely need to filter down. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my 3 tags again. That was definitely helpful, right? Just do a quick. Now remember, you can definitely do additional filters in basic filtering as well as custom filters. But I have a list of my tags. And so I'm going to go ahead and select Go. And then you'll see my tags are listed below. And I see other questions. I'll get to those here in just one moment. And my bulk room transfer icon is now visible. So I'm going to go ahead and select it. Just a reminder, this is under that tags page. Bulk room to room transfer, I have my transfer details, and then tag details of how many tags are going to be moved, and I can even pull that quick little inventory details list. It's going to populate my room information for me on where it's transferring from, but I need to select my destination. So I'm going to go ahead and place these tags into room. Let me make sure I have the right room. Oops. They are currently in the CPS room, so I'll go ahead and place them in my room 1001. I'm going to leave their status alone, but I could always update the status of all tags to a new status, such as maybe put them in available. Maybe they're going into repair, and I'll say Go. You have 3 tags that are to be transferred from room 1000-1, and if you confirm, just type in transfer, and I'll select confirm. Transfer completed, and I'll say OK. And now if you see here, they've gone from my CPS room to my room 1000-1, and I left them all in the status of in use. Was that helpful? Great. Okay, just want to make sure. I have another question that asks, how do you delete a teacher or classroom or mark that room inactive? So how you'll want to mark a room inactive, we'll go back to the rooms page here. Now remember, the room cannot have any tags that are currently associated to it. And actually, thank you. You know what, you just brought up another item that I did want to talk to you about. I apologize. With the questions, I missed that. We didn't talk about merge rooms, did we? This is one way that you're able to, it will actually inactivate a room for you. So let me go ahead and quickly show you where you would be able to go to a room to inactivate it. Let's see if one of my CPS rooms does not have inventory. Perfect. So my CPS 100. So if you remember, I'll go to my green pencil to edit. And since there are no associations and there are no tags that are associated to my room, it's as easy as coming in here and unchecking the active box and clicking Save. And that's it. My room is now inactive. So if I go Show Inactive, there's my CPS 100. Now, it's just as easy to bring it back if I realize I do want that room. Click Active, Save, and I have to uncheck, and now I have both my rooms back. That helpful? Great. Now I do have a couple of other questions that are not related to rooms that I will gladly show you once we're finished with the session. I'd like to dive into merge rooms really quickly. I definitely do not want to forget this for you, so if that's okay. So merge rooms is that process where, let's say you have room A and room B, and you realize that it's really the same room. So for whatever reason, maybe you had entered in the room. We keep talking a lot about naming or labeling each of your rooms. Well, maybe that potentially didn't happen, as one individual had mentioned earlier. And so you'd already gone in and created a room name, and you had said, let's say, CPS-100-hallway. But in reality, this room, when that's how you want the room to say, right? But then when Probar came out, you hadn't written anywhere, labeled anywhere, that you had created this room that was kind of the dash hallway for that specific laptop, that computer, right? And so you have two rooms within your application, but technically they're the same room. So you want to merge those rooms so that you only have one of that room. So what you're going to want to do is create what's called a merge room. And where you're able to do that, we're still under Rooms, and then you'll go to Management, Merge Rooms. And it's going to be on that Quick Links toolbar. The Merge Rooms modal will open, and there's kind of three steps. You'll have Select Origin Room, Select Destination Room, and then you'll have your confirmation. And just some notes here. Specify select the origin room. All inventory will be transferred out of this room and placed in the destination room. This room will then be set to inactive. So that's where that inactive piece came from. So I really appreciate you mentioning inactivating a room, by the way. I would have been very sad if I did not show this to you. So I need to specify my origin room, and we do know that I have that CPS 100 that does not have any assets in it. I do have my other CPS which has assets. So let's just pretend that I needed to merge my two CPS rooms. I realized, oh, these are actually the same room, and so I need to get rid of this first room here. So I'm going to go ahead and select it. Now, if my room did have tags within it, it would actually transfer my tags as well. So origin room, and if it looks good, I'll select destination room. So select the little green button with the arrow. Now I'm under destination room. One thing I love is you're able to navigate between these kind of processes. So if I realize I needed to change my origin room, I just come and select it, make changes as needed, or I can move back. I can't move forward, though, if I haven't already been to that process piece yet. So my destination room, CPS was already filtered, and actually, yes, I'm going to go and place my 100 into my 200. It's my science lab. This is a similar scenario that we had with status for bulk transferring. If I leave status alone, any tags that were in there will come over with the status that they already had. If I change it, they will all come over with my new status. I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm going to click Final Confirmation. Now I'm at my final confirmation step, and it's going to just want me to walk through to ensure I have the correct information. My origin room was my CPS 100 computer lab in my north wing, but actually it is CPS-200, and it's actually a science lab, and it is my north wing, so that information is the same. Everything looks great. I'm going to say Go. Now it's going to want me to confirm that I do want to make this merge happen. At this time, no tags were affected, but if there were, they would be listed here. And it just says, so many tags are about to be updated as part of this merge. This merge will be set CPS 100, that computer lab, to inactive. To proceed with the merge, just select Confirm. Rooms merge complete. I'll say OK. Take a second. So now if I go back to CPS, do my filter, I only have my CPS 200 here. So my other CPS room has been merged, so to speak, into my CPS 200. Let's check Show Inactive. You'll see I still have my CPS 100, but if I had had any teacher associations and any inventory, they would have all been moved to my CPS 200. So that is the merge process. Do you have any questions about that? Okay, great. What I'm going to do is go ahead and And if there are no other questions, I do want to let you know that if it pops up here, you have unlimited technical support here with Hayes, as well as at CPS. And you'll see the list of those for speaking with me today and going through the advanced training session for rooms, ad editing, and transferring. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, but I do know I have a couple of remainder questions. If those individuals want to stay in the room, or if everybody wants to, we can definitely look over those. So thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day.